everybody, it's Christina from Creations with Christina. Today I am mass producing my Christmas cards. Every year I say I'm going to make Christmas cards and I never do. I always end up buying them, but this year I'm determined to do it. So I have everything all set up on my desk and I'll show you a quick picture of that right now. Okay, so I went ahead and started doing all of my card bases, and I want to show you what I did with those. This design is similar to a card I posted a few videos back, and I just wanted to show you how I'm doing that. That card was a 4 1/4 square card. This one's going to be an A2 sized, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I have my piece of cardstock. It's cut down to 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. I'm going to do a score line at 4 1/4. And I'm just going to go ahead and fold that in half here and do my nice crisp score line. And then I'll open it up, and from the inside I'm going to do some score lines. I'm going to do one at 3 3/4 and then another one at 3 1/2. So that gives me two score lines 1/4 inch apart. I'm going to do another one here at 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. And then I'll turn my cardstock, and I'm going to go at 5 inches right to my score line for the fold of my card, and then 4 3/4, and then again over on this side at 1/2 inch and 3/4. So that creates my design on the front of my card. One of the stamps I'm using is this Winter Snow Globe set from Paper Tray Ink, and right now what I did was I went ahead and used the coordinating dies and die cut all of the images that I needed. So right now what I'm doing is stamping out my snow globes. For the base of my snow globe I'm using Paper Tray Ink Scarlet Jewel, and right now I have them all done. I'm doing a couple extra just for, you know, in case I mess up a little bit. So what I'm doing is just stamping out the bottom portion of my snow globe, and then I'll clean my stamp and move on to the next part. So, alright, so there's the bottom, and now what I'm going to do is start actually stamping out my top part of my snow globe. So I'm just going to clean this off because I want to use my stamp press to line that up. So let me get this stamp off there, and then I'm doing the top part of my snow globe, which is just the outline circle, and I will put that onto my stamp press. And for this I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I'm just lining that up and stamping out my snow globe. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of those, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Alright, I went ahead and finished stamping out my outline of my snow globe, so now what I'm going to do is take the snowflake shape that's in that set and stamp that right in the center of my snow globe. I'm using Aqua Mist for that one, so we just got to get the top off. And for this one, really easy to line up. You don't really have to be too precise, just make sure you're somewhat in that circle. So, alright, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of those. Let me just do a couple more for you on video. Some of my snow globes weren't stamped perfectly. That's why I stamped extra. This one is really easy to line up. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp out the rest of these. Okay, so that was my last snow globe for the snowflakes. The next thing I'm going to do is start stamping out all of my little images, which are my snowman, the Santa Claus, and the tree that come in that set. And I already went ahead and pre-did those. They come as one die. So what I did was, instead of, you know, just picking one, I decided I'd use all three. As a matter of fact, I got a Santa Claus stuck in there. So because they're one piece, I'm going to use all three of those shapes. So since Santa's sitting right here, we're going to use him. I'm going to go ahead and mount him onto my stamp block. And for these, I'm going to use my Memento ink, because some of them I might do some Copic coloring on. So I have Santa stamped, or Santa cut out there. So now I'm just going to go ahead and stamp Santa. So there he is. So normally what I would just do is go ahead and stamp all of my Santas and then move on to my next stamp, but let me just show you the different images. This one is the snowman. So we have our little snowman right there. And this is why I like using my stamp press, because I can kind of really line things up pretty easily using this. So there's my snowman, and then the last one I have is my Christmas tree. And we have our tree die right there. And then I'll just line this up. And there is our Christmas tree. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp everything out, and then I'm going to come back and I'll show you how I'm going to decorate up these images a little bit. Okay, next I just want to share with you how I'm coloring in and adding details to the image. I'm going to start with the little snowmen because they're the easiest of all of them. For the snowmen, I'm simply just taking a Sakura gel pen. This one is called Copper Star, and I'm just coloring in the snowman's nose. And it gives it a little bit of glitter. And then, because I didn't want to just leave it like this, I'm taking a B000 Copic marker, and I'm just adding some shade right along the side here just to give my snowman a little something extra. And then to give it a little bit more, I want to add a little silver star Sakura, and that one I'm just going right along the edge of the stamped image. So that is what I'm doing with my snowman. And then for my Christmas tree, I'm taking a green Copic marker. This one is YG63. And for this one, I'm just coloring it in. I'm not even fully, completely coloring in the tree. I'm just kind of messily coloring it. And then for the star, I'm using the same pen that I used for my snowman, it's Copper Star. And I'm just coloring in my star to give that a little bit of glitter. And I wanted to do red ornaments on my tree, so I took my R29 Copic marker, and because I didn't have any glitter pen in red, and I don't want to use a stickles or anything like that and have to wait for it to dry, I'm just taking the red marker, doing my ornaments, and then filling that in with the Silver Star Sakura pen. Okay. So that's my Christmas tree. And then Santa has a little bit more detail, and you have to be careful with coloring. Again, using Copic R29, I am coloring in his hat red, of course, because Santa always wears a red hat. And then I'll do his jacket. And then I always forget to do his little bit of the pants that are showing, so look at that. For his mittens, I'm using a black Copic marker. I had originally done them in red, and I didn't like the red. Well, I liked it, but I was torn between the red and the black, so what I decided to do is black. And then I take the, again, the Silver Star Sakura pen, and I'm making his boots shiny, a little bit of glitter. And again, you can use a glitter or stickles if you want to, but like I said, I didn't want to really have to wait for things to dry too much. So that's why I went with my Sakura pens. So I'm coloring in his mittens now, and that gives it a little bit of glitter and a little bit of detail. And then the last thing for my Santa is I'm taking the B000 again, and on the parts that are white, like the fur around his coat, his mustache, his beard, and around his hat, I'm just adding just a little bit just to give it another little bit of detail. So that's how I did my 3 different pieces to my snow globe. Well, the next thing I'm working on is my sentiment, and I'm using Merry Christmas from Our House to Yours, which is from the paper tray ink set called Love Lives Here Holiday. And what I did was I lined it up perfectly onto my Fiskars stamp press, and I have a certain spot on my grid here that I know where I need to line it up on the score line, and I'm centering my stamp pretty well. So the only thing I do recommend is when you're doing this is to make sure your card is laying flat, because if it's not, it's going to start popping up when you push down on it, and then you'll mess it up, which is what I did on 1 or 2. So that's why I always make a couple extra just for little mistakes. And I'm doing all of my actual card stamping before I start assembling, because in case I mess up, then I don't have to worry that I lost one of my images or anything like that. So, and it seems like if I'm going to mess up stamping, it's going to be on the actual card. So that's all of the insides of my cards. The next thing I'm going to do is now start stamping my sentiment for the outside, and I will be right back. I'm just going to take a second and line everything up on my mat here. So what I'm working on next is stamping my sentiment on the outside, and I'm using this set called Holiday Lights. It's Sending Holiday Joy is my sentiment for the outside. And what I'm doing is I have it on my Fiskars stamp press, and I figured out where exactly I need to line it up at, which is the score line of my card is in between the 3rd and 4th line here, and then the score line that I created for the frame is about the 3rd line up. So that kind of helps me figure out the placement of my stamp. And then I know I'm getting it somewhat, well, that one wasn't centered, but it's somewhat centered onto my card. Okay, so that's all the stamping for the sentiment on the outside, and now I'm pretty much ready to start putting my cards together. So what I'm doing now is just taking one of my snow globes that I messed up on the stamping and just using that to make a pencil outline of the top part of the snow globe, because I'm going to do a little stamping on this. And I'm going to stamp some hollies that come from that Love Lives Here holiday stamp set. And I want them to come off from the back of it, and just so I know the placement, I put my snow globe down, outline it, and then I'm going to take some spring moss ink, and let me just move my pile of cards over here to have a better flat surface. And I took one of the hollies from that stamp set, and I'm going to ink that up with the spring moss, and just add some hollies coming off from, so it'll look like it's peeking out the back of my card, or my snow globe. So I'm going to do that on all of my cards here. Okay, the only thing left I have to do is just add my snowmen and Santa Claus and trees to the center of my snow globe. That one already had adhesive on it. And then I'm just going to do another one of these trees. I have a couple leftover pieces. I'll just save those and incorporate them into Christmas tags or something like that. So we'll adhere this one right here. And that is the assembly of our little snow globes. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is start putting our cards together. But before I do that, I think I want to add a little bit of twine or bow. I do have some divine twine out, and this is, I think this one is called Cantaloupe. I'm not 100% sure. So what I thought I would do is add a little twine going around the bottom of my snow globe and then tie that into a little bow, and that just gives it a little bit more to my card. So let me just tie a bow, I'll show you what that looks like, and then I'll go ahead and do the rest. cut this a little too short, so it made it a little difficult. But anyway, there is a little bow now added to my snow globe. I'll just have to fiddle with it a little bit before I add it to my card. So, alright, so I'm going to go tie the rest of the bows onto my snow globes, and then I will show you the next step. Okay, so I changed up what I was going to do with the twine. Before, I was going to use this kind of green twine and wrap it around the bottom of my snow globe and then tie a bow. But instead what I did was I used my Maya Road twine that's red and green and white, so it coordinates better with my stamped images, and then just tied the bow and used a mini glue dot to stick it on. So I have just one foam dimension on the back. I erased my pencil marks from the front of my card. And now I'm just going to go ahead and center that right on the front of my card. So that's my snowman one, or my Santa Claus one. And then I also have my snowman. And then the other one I did was the Christmas tree. So those are the 3 different style cards that I made for Christmas this year. The last thing I have to do before I finish this up is I have a this handmade, what is it called? Handmade Hodgepodge stamp set, and it's got all different handmade by sentiments. So I think I'm going to just use this handmade with care. And let me see, where is that one? It's this one right here. And I'm going to stamp that onto the back of my card using some, where is it, Scarlet Jewel ink. So handmade with care. And I'll do my other 3 right here. And that will be my Christmas cards for this Christmas. And I do have a whole bunch of little pieces, some that are already left over, some that I didn't even have put on snow globes, because I had stamped extra of everything. So I just will set those aside. I think I'm going to probably use those for some Christmas tags or something like that. But that is my Christmas card for this year. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time.